if this is achieved, if Africa becomes united and becomes under a total black rule situation, what then happens to the more than 13 million blacks in America? How do they relate to your Pan-African theory?
The conditions will materially change. In the first place, now Africans the world over will have to be respected. If your home is not in order, certainly you cannot expect respect living in somebody else's house. So the relations will change, and the relationship with Africans themselves will change. We say one of the biggest problems that an oppressed people face is this problem of consciousness. And consciousness is a result of awareness and ability to understand things. Africans all over America think that Africans have never done anything and cannot do anything. Consequently, once Africa is unified and socialist, being one of the richest continents on the face of the earth, should be one of the most powerful. Consequently, their relationship vis-a-vis Africa will change, and vis-a-vis other citizens of the world, other nations and races of the world.
Okay.
If you haven't seen my last video on Is There a Black God, I suggest you click on the link right now and watch it before coming back to this video. So in that video, I talked about self-awareness and how self-awareness is the whole secret of your reality. Now, what does that mean? Your consciousness is what determines your life. The way you think about yourself, the way you see yourself determines the kind of house you're going to live in, the kind of cars you're going to drive, the kind of person you're going to be, and your contribution to society. Now, this plays right into what this first video just said. The introductory video is by Kwame Ture, an incredible Pan-Africanist who spoke about the importance of having a higher consciousness as African people. Most of the times when we think about race, racial class, and all of those things, we look at it more or less in terms of skin color, the color of your skin, how people react to you because of the color of your skin. But I dare say that the race issue is deeper than that. It speaks to a lack of a proper standing in society. It speaks to a lack of a placement in society, a high placement in society. It speaks to economic imbalance. It speaks to your contribution to society. Now, for most of us growing up, you imagine you grew up in an upper middle class Nigerian society. Everything is all hunky-dory. You're having a good time. You're growing up, you know. Life is good. You seem to have everything that is needed to live well, you know, enjoy your life, enjoy your family, and you're just having a good time growing up, you know. So life is good in a sense. Then you go to school and you start learning that Africa is the third world, you know, and you start realizing that I'm an African. I'm in Nigeria, and Nigeria is classified as a third world country. You start hearing about insecurity. You start hearing about poverty. You start hearing about corruption. You start hearing about how Africans are savages. They kill each other every day. They hack each other for no reason. You start hearing about tribal bigotry, religious wars, political problems, and you start to question the reality that you grew up with. You start to question who you are as a human being. You start to question what your African reality has to do with who you are as a person. And I dare say that a lot of us that grew up in an upper middle class Nigeria, we can kind of relate to that story. You wouldn't know that you are third class until you are told that you are third class, or you wouldn't know that you are from a third world country until you are told that you are from a third world country. I remember a quote from Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. I'm going to be butchering it because I can't remember it clearly, but he said something about when he was reading a book by a certain author, right? And he was reading about this story. Hold on, I have to go and find it, and I have to go for it properly. Yes, so here is Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart. In fact, I think that from time to time we're going to be doing book reviews on this channel because our lack of knowledge is stinking, you know. And there's something that they always say, that there's nothing as powerful as a black man with a book. So I think it is important for us to start taking education more seriously. All right, so Achebe arrived at his position by learning to read the colonial canon differently and uncovering its underlying ideology subtext. He recalls, this is Achebe now speaking. I read lots of English books. I did not see myself as an African to begin with. I took sides with the white men against the savages. But as time came, but a time came when I realized I was not on Marlowe's boat steaming up the Congo in the heart of darkness. I was one of those strange beings jumping up and down on the riverbank making horrid faces. This is when I realized that stories are not innocent. Now, what does this paragraph mean? A lot of us don't realize our representation in this world as Africans until we are told that this is what Africans are represented as to the world. This is what Africans look like this to the world. This is what the Nigerian story is to the world, right? And where am I going with all of this? I'm just trying to speak about how conditioning is so important. From the moment a child is born, from the moment you enter into the educational system, you are being conditioned. And unfortunately, our Nigerian educational system does not necessarily condition us to have a higher consciousness and become more valuable people in society. Our educational system is actually very, very strategic in conditioning us to be subservient, lesser, and to serve other people. But this is a conversation for another day. I don't want to digress. I don't want this video to be too long. Now, one of the hardest things that you ever have to do in your lifetime is to try and recondition yourself to a higher consciousness, because for all of your life, like I said, you're being told a certain thing. Now, when you look around the African society, you see that a lot of people, exhibit characters that are similar to what is expected from a society of brutes, savages, etc, etc, etc. Now, why is this important? It is important because we have to rise to a higher consciousness. We have to start to understand that the color of your skin is not a determinant to your contribution to society. You are intelligent. You can do what you set your mind to do. You have the capacity to create. Now, Kwame Ture, who started this video, I didn't even know about Kwame Ture until I started researching into African history, Pan-Africanism, a lot more seriously. I didn't even know about him because I wasn't taught in school. Now I understand that the African story has been bespeckled with a lot of problems, but I would want to believe that our educational system is meant to teach us about our heroes who fought through these trials and tribulations. Now, indeed, yes, you can teach kids that, oh yeah, Africans were slaves, but in spite of slave trade, there were people like this, there were people like that, there were people like Benkos Bioho who were able to create a literacy system in the middle of slave trade. They were able to create a system to escape. They were able to create societies of their own. Talk about the Haitian revolutions, people who stood up against all of these forces and all of these different things that happened. So people can understand that, yes, even though a lot of things happened, but we were able to surmount these challenges. And why is this important? It is important because the sense of pride that one has in their society is going to be a strong determinant in who that person eventually becomes as regards that society. If you don't have a feeling of love, of pride, of oneness in your society, it stunts how much you can contribute positively to your society. Now let's take this child that grew up in upper middle class Nigeria and juxtapose him to same child around the same age who grew up in an upper middle class America. Now that's upper middle class Nigerian who is constantly being told when he goes to school, from his society, from his environment, being bombarded with images that, oh, this Africa is struggling, there is no food, there is hunger, there is poverty, there is killings, there is insecurity, blah 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 blah. Then this child, on the other hand, is told that, oh, America is the land of the brave, America is the land of the free, you can be who you want to be, you can have what you want to have, you can do what you want, America is great. Of course, what do you think the trajectory of those two people are going to look like? For the one, it's going to be an easier climb. For the other, it might be a more difficult climb. The other is more likely to fall by the wayside of life if he gets caught up in his society. But if he has a spirit to fight, then he understands that, okay, no matter what it is, I can surmount it. But that person now is surmounting years and years of conditioning, years and years of trauma, years and years of generational curses that this other person might not necessarily have to deal with. And this is why I feel like our educational system has a huge responsibility, in determining the kind and the value and the quality of individuals that we produce into society. One of my long-term goals is to teach. I mean, I already teach on YouTube, but one of my long-term goals is to own a school, and it's going to be a dream come true for me, because I can never ever underestimate, or I can never ever overemphasize the power of education to transform the mind state, the well-being, and the positioning of a man. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be dropping a lot of gems, a lot. Classes in session, guys. Be quiet. Shh. Listen. Take note. I'm about to change your life. So in today's video, we're actually going to be dissecting African gods. Yeah, I know that this doesn't even have anything to do with my initial rant, but we're going to be talking about African gods, the most powerful gods that they were in African society, what we can learn from them, and why this representation is important. I want you to sit back, relax, enjoy this video. Thank you so much for all the love on my previous video. If you haven't seen it, the link is right there. You can go and watch it. Thank you for all of the positive comments. I appreciate you guys. Let's continue to keep it classy and let's get into the meat of this video. Right, I had to go and get my tea because I need my voice to be crystal clear. Oh, this is a turmeric, honey, and ginger tea, if you want to know, because I've been having a cold over the past few weeks. But yeah, not that you care, but anyway. If you have a cold, you can try it. It's honey, lemon, ginger, and turmeric, and it works wonders. All right, moving on. So I remember growing up, right? I once wrote in my diary that I want a man that looks like Adonis. What? Anyway, we knew Greek mythology. We knew Greek methodology growing up. We knew who Adonis was, the most handsome god in the Greek methodology. In the Greek philosophy, we knew about Zeus, the god of all gods. We knew Poseidon, the king of the waters. We knew Athena. We knew Aphrodite and all of these gods. But how come we didn't know Shango that much? How come we didn't know Ogum? How come we didn't know Oshun? How come we didn't know Oya? How come we didn't know Yemoja and all of these African gods? It still goes back to what I said at the beginning of this video. If I'm writing in my diary, oh, I want a man that looks like Adonis, it's because I had an imagery of what an Adonis was, because I was taught about an Adonis, whether it was through formal education, whether it was through pop culture, whether it was through fictional books or whatever, Greek methodology, all of these other gods were made to seem cool. I remember watching Hercules, the cartoon, growing up, and I saw, Zeus, Poseidon, and all of these gods, and it seemed cool in a sense. But once it came to African gods, it's scary, it's fearful, it's don't go there, don't even, it's like a Pandora's box. It's like a Pandora's box. Once you open it, it's over for you. But the truth of the matter is, according to everything that I said in the beginning of this video, it is important for people to see themselves in the positive light of their own history. When we talk about African gods, it is important for us to know them for the good that they perpetrated in the society, their stories of bravery. I can't see without my glasses, but I don't like how my glasses is pressing my nose this morning, and I don't want to wear my contacts because I feel like my eyes have been red. Anyway, it is important for us to know these gods, because when you see yourself a certain way, you inadvertently act in that way that you see yourself. So if you see yourself like a god, it only makes sense that you act like a god. So today we're going to be talking about 5 African gods, the roles that they played in society, and what you can learn from them. Now, let me put in a quick disclaimer, because I know that people can get very triggered when it comes to religion, when it comes to tribe, when it comes to politics, when it comes to all of these things. The truth of the matter is, I'm not here to tell anybody to go and start to practice African spirituality. I'm not here to tell anybody that this is the way. No, what I want to inspire everybody on to in this channel is a higher consciousness, a better way of seeing yourself. That is it. Whatever route you want to take to get there, good for you. If you believe in whatever it is that you practice, fantastic. I just feel that it is important for the positive aspect of African spirituality, African philosophy, African history, and African traditions to be brought to light, because this inspires a sense of pride, a sense of love, and a sense of patriotism in one society, and makes you want to contribute positively to your society. So please, as I always say, let's keep it classy in the comment section. This is not about who is better than who. This is just about us seeing ourselves as we ought to see ourselves. So let's start with one of my favorite, Eshu. Now, we've been talking about Eshu a lot on this channel, because the previous video I did was dissecting how Samuel Ajayi Crowther mistranslated Eshu as the devil in African spirituality when he was tasked with the responsibility of translating the Bible to Yoruba language. Now, if you have not seen that video, the link is up there. You can click on it and watch it. Now, who actually was Eshu? Eshu is probably the most complex deity in the Orisha pantheon. He is primarily known as being the god of chance, chaos, and unpredictability. Eshu is known to be a deity who is fond of tricks, which can sometimes be seen as disruptive and even cruel. But his trials are meant to teach mankind a valuable blessing in order for him to become the best version of himself. He could be as giving as he could be malevolent. Now, we know that mischief is something that doesn't go unnoticed in African mythology in general. Trickster gods are present in many cultures around the world. It is something that adds that bit of extra tanginess to a stew of divine righteousness. When mischief and trickery can be converted into an orb of power controlled by a celestial spirit, it makes way for a relatively powerful narrative that strikes all within its believers. Eshu, otherwise known as Elegba, is the trickster of the Orisha pantheon and a wandering trickster spirit generally concerned with probabilities and elusiveness. Now, I know a lot of us have watched the Avengers. We love it. I love the Avengers. And I love Loki. Loki was that god that seemed to dance between good and evil. Loki is on your side one day, the next day he wants to kill you. He's planning something. Loki was always plotting. He was that god that was always plotting, but you could always count on Loki when you needed him. He was a stand-up guy. He will always be there. But that didn't mean that he wouldn't put a pin in your chair or something. He was mischievous. Now, if you look closely, Loki seems to be like a pop-cultured version of the Yoruba Eshu. Eshu is a trickster. Doesn't necessarily make him an evil spirit. He is just a spirit who seems to dance between the two worlds. Eshu, however, is not a malicious spirit doomed to destroy humanity through psychological trickery. Instead, he has solidified his position as a messenger between the realms of the spirits and humankind, not unlike the Greek god Hermes. Still, he is believed to be more than capable of bringing adversity to those that do not take note of his presence. On the other hand, he requires sacrifices of resources such as tobacco to ensure constant appeasement and protection of human spirits. So this is as far as we can take today. For me, what can be learned from this Orisha Eshu is the fact that most times life is full of crossroads, life is full of ups and downs, life is full of twists and turns that sometimes seem as if life is trying to bend you over backwards to almost break you. But I believe that those things are actually forcing the best of yourself to come forth. It's like what they say, how diamonds cannot be formed without a certain kind of pressure being applied to the coal. So pressure is what makes the diamonds. That's what I think we can take from this Orisha Eshu. Eshu dances in between the world of good and evil, trickery and innocence, and the yin and yang of life, which is what life is actually all about. Balance, finding that balance and finding the beauty of life even in the difficult times. So if you've watched to this point, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave a comment for me. If you are enjoying this series, please let me know what you want to see more of, because your feedback really helps me. Please leave me a like, please subscribe to my channel. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of this month, May, and only you can help to make that happen. So please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave here. And if you have not watched my previous video, the link is right there, and I will see you there.